Just imagine this for a moment. Far beyond the shimmering glow of our moon, past the fiery storms of the sun, and beyond even the swirling arms of our own Milky Way galaxy, lies a darkness so deep that light itself struggles to cross its endless stretches, a place where silence rules and time feels meaningless. Yet in that very abyss of eternal stillness something happened that shook NASA's most experienced astronomers to their core. For one late evening at the Deep Space Network facility, as enormous radio dishes turned their sensitive ears toward the heavens, filtering out the random hiss of cosmic background radiation and the faint whispers of dying stars, they caught something, a signal so clear, so deliberate, that it immediately set off alarms in both their instruments and in their hearts. Because this wasn't the chaotic noise of natural space phenomena, nor the familiar rhythmic pulses of known pulsars. Instead, it was precise, sharp, and repeating with mathematical accuracy. The kind of signal that suggested intelligence behind its creation, a beacon perhaps, or a call across unimaginable distances. And as the computers recorded the frequency and amplitude of the signal, the scientists froze in stunned silence, their eyes scanning the digital readouts that displayed not just static waves, but patterns, structured bursts, intervals aligning perfectly with prime numbers. The universal code of logic and reason, a sequence unlikely to be produced by chance. And in that moment the entire control room filled with an electric tension, the air heavy with the realization that this might be the very thing humanity had dreamed of for centuries. Proof that we are not alone. Proof that some other mind in the cosmos had reached out to us. And yet, alongside that wonder came a crawling unease. Because if someone was sending signals across galaxies, what were they saying, and why now? In this fragile moment of Earth's history, and as NASA scrambled to confirm the discovery, cross-checking with the European Southern Observatory, Arecibo's archived data, and Japan's radio telescope array, every analysis returned the same undeniable conclusion. The signal was real, consistent, and coming from a very specific region of deep space far beyond our galactic neighborhood, from an area where no known civilization, no habitable planets, and no obvious sources of artificial activity had ever been charted. And the more they studied the signal, the stranger it became. Because it wasn't just repeating in an endless loop, it was modulating, as if layers upon layers of information were woven into its structure, tones shifting in patterns that mirrored human language in complexity though not in form, almost like someone whispering from the abyss, their voice distorted by the vast ocean of time and space between us. And as the hours turned into days, the transmission never faded. In fact, it grew stronger, as if the source knew it was being heard and deliberately intensified its call, until NASA's scientists, engineers, and mathematicians began to realize they might not simply be intercepting a random broadcast drifting through space, but the opening lines of a conversation, a direct communication aimed precisely at Earth. And the very thought of that sent ripples of fear through even the bravest among them, because if they are sending, then surely they are listening. And if they are listening, then they already know we are here, fragile creatures on a small blue planet orbiting an ordinary star, now faced with the possibility that something vast and ancient has fixed its gaze upon us from the void, watching, waiting, and perhaps preparing to speak. And as scientists scrambled to process the overwhelming influx of data, the signal that had first appeared like a simple wave suddenly evolved into something that defied every known pattern in astrophysics, carrying hidden layers of harmonics and repeating intervals that almost seemed like a mathematical code, as though someone, or something, was trying to speak across a gulf so vast that even light itself takes billions of years to cross. And this realization gripped the entire team at NASA with both exhilaration and dread, because it meant that they weren't just listening to random radio bursts or background cosmic radiation, but possibly to a crafted message intentionally designed to be discovered. And the decoding process became a frantic race against time, as the world outside NASA's quiet, sterile walls grew restless with rumors of alien contact, with conspiracy forums, news outlets, and governments speculating wildly about what the signal could mean, whether it was a warning, a beacon, or an invitation, while within the secure labs, linguists, mathematicians, and cryptographers tried every known cipher, from prime numbers to Fibonacci sequences, only to discover that each solution opened another layer, like a cosmic puzzle box that had been deliberately built to ensure only a sufficiently advanced species could understand it. And as they worked night after night, something even stranger emerged. Hidden within the deep frequency was a repeating pulse that perfectly aligned with the hydrogen line, the universal frequency scientists had long theorized would be used by extraterrestrial civilizations to communicate, because it was the one constant across the cosmos. And this alignment meant that whoever sent the signal knew about the building blocks of life itself, and they wanted humanity to know that they knew. Yet as the decoding advanced further, strange images began to form, not in visual form, but as mathematical projections that, when mapped, resembled star charts, unfamiliar galaxies, and pathways that did not match anything in human catalogs, almost like directions through the deep abyss of space. And then, a second shockwave came. Because embedded within those coordinates was a strange signature, a sequence so eerily close to the genetic coding of DNA that the biologists on the team could hardly believe their findings, asking themselves why an alien intelligence would encode biological blueprints within a radio signal, unless, perhaps, they weren't just trying to say, "We exist, but we are connected." As though life across the universe might share an origin, a common ancestry stretching beyond the Earth itself, and this realization sent chills through the scientists, because it threatened to dismantle everything humanity thought it knew about evolution, creation, and the uniqueness of life. But before they could even process this, another anomaly occurred. The signal began to change, pulsing faster, louder, as if responding to their attempts to decode it, as though aware of being observed. And suddenly the instruments registered a shift in frequency that corresponded with Earth's own magnetic field, suggesting that the message was no longer coming from a distant star system but was somehow being redirected, reflected, or amplified in real time around the planet itself, as if the intelligence behind it was now aware of Earth's listening. And panic erupted in the control room, because if the signal was interacting locally, then whatever was sending it might already be here, hidden, watching. And the implications of this turned the scientific quest into a geopolitical crisis. As governments demanded access, militaries prepared for unknown threats, and religious leaders warned of prophecies fulfilled, while deep inside NASA, a handful of researchers made a terrifying discovery. The final layer of the decoded signal contained a countdown, a series of numbers descending slowly, ticking toward an unknown moment, and nobody could agree whether it marked the time of an arrival, a warning of destruction, or a doorway to contact. But one thing became clear to everyone staring at the diminishing numbers on the screen. The signal was not random, it was intelligent, it was deliberate, and it was waiting for humanity to answer.